Alright, so here we go. Do you remember yesterday? Okay, do I have all the quizzes turned in? Okay, Mr. Gould, whatever you're doing, stop it. Get your note sheet out. Come on, we got learning to do. We have a lot to learn. Yesterday, do you remember we learned what polar form or trigonometric form is? What is it? Well, it's got R and theta in it, but there's that CIS thing. So let's do a quick review problem from yesterday. Change into polar or trigonometric form. Polar form, trigonometric form, same thing. And the number looked like this, 2 plus 3i. So what did we do? To do this, to make this change, what did we do? Remember? What are these numbers? The 2 and the 3. That's x and y. So we drew a picture over 2 up 3. And then we got our Pythagorean theorem going, and that was root 13. And then we found this angle right here using second tangent. And since it's in quadrant 1, I don't have to mess with it. I'll just take whatever comes out. So second tangent, 3/2, I got 56.3. So do you remember we had 2 ways of writing the answer? We could write it longhand, or we could write it shorthand. And the longhand version is this. And the shorthand version, which I prefer because it's shorter, is this. That's a CIS. Cosine, I sine. Remember that from yesterday? Now, today, part 3, we're going the other direction. We're taking a number A, letter A. The number is this. And you are going to write it like this. You're going to change this into x plus yi. This is the polar form. This is this. Now, what's the 5? That's your radius, right? What's the 20? That's your theta. So we know that r is 5 and theta is 20, right, from the problem. Now what are we looking for? X and y. What did you memorize about x? What's x? R. Yes. X equals r cosine theta, and y equals r sine theta. Now, 20 is not a special angle. On the quiz, you had a 60. That's special. Here you got a 20. It's not, so I got to type it in. 5 cosine 20. Make sure you're in degrees, by the way, kids. I know yesterday we were in radians part of the time. I got 4.7. And 5 sine 20. 1.7. Now, this was my answer. That's what I want my answer to look like. So I'll say 4.7 plus 1.7i. Remember, the I always goes with the Y. Is that okay with everybody? Let's look at B. Now we're changing into complex form. which means this is what I want. This is my answer. This is complex form. It is also called rectangular form because it has an x and a y. All right, so how do I find x and y? What's my r? What's r? 8. And what's my theta? So 8 cosine 12 will be x, and 8 sine 12 will be y. I think this is pretty easy, kids. 7.8 on that one, yep. And 1.7. Now, when you write your answer, though, make sure you write it like this. So it'll be 7.8 plus 1.7i. You okay, kids? All right, let's look at the next one. Uh-oh. What's different about the next one? Yeah, which means that's a radian measure. So let's not panic. But wait a minute. What's pi? 180 divided by 10. What's 180 divided by 10? 18 times 3, 54. So we have 4 CIS 54. One more time. 180 divided by 10 is 18, times 3 is 54. Now, what am I looking for? This is my polar form right here. I want to change that into this, right? So here we go. What's x? 4 cos 54. And y is 4 sine 54. .4 and 3.2. And when I write my answer, how do I have to write it now? Don't just list those two numbers. How you write your answer? 2.4 plus 3.2i. Can you do the last one on your own? Now it's written longhand. What's your R and your theta? Okay, so you know what to do. X will be 6 cosine 200, and y will be 6 sine 200. So go ahead, see if you can come up with your number. Oh, something negative in there? Yeah. Oh, you mean when they come out, the answers? Oh, no. That just means your x and your y are negative, which is fine. That's absolutely fine. So did you get negative 5.6 minus 2.1i?
Julia's Thomas requested to front office?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. Ready for part 4? Now we're going to multiply two of these numbers together. This involves a little rule you have to memorize, but it's real simple. It's real simple. I've got two numbers, and somebody asked me yesterday, how come you named them Z? Because your book does. So this is just the first number. Z sub 1 is 3 CIS 12, and Z sub 2 is 10 CIS 11. These are just the names of the two numbers, so I can talk about them. Because now I want to find Z sub 1 times Z sub 2. I'm going to multiply these together. So I'm going to do it, and then you're going to tell me how I did it. The answer would be 30 CIS 23. This is the answer. How did I get from the problem to this answer? What did I do? I multiplied the R's, these are the R's, and I added the thetas. That's how you multiply. If you want to multiply two of these numbers together, you multiply their R's, and you add their thetas. So the next one, the two numbers are 4 CIS 110 and 5 CIS 300. So we're going to multiply those together. So what's that answer going to be? When I multiply these together, what am I going to end up with? 20 CIS 410. Now we have a bit of a problem here. You did it right, you got the correct answer, but something bad happened. Can anybody guess what's wrong with that number? There's something wrong with that number. Can anybody figure out what it might be? This angle right here is just too big. Why is it too big? Because it's more than 360. So, we're going to shrink it down and say, all right, 410 is all the way around, and how much more? Somebody said it, I think. 50. This is the correct answer to the problem. Now, you did not make any mistakes. This was okay. You did it right. But you can't have an angle bigger than 360. It's kind of redundant. You don't need more than 360. So we throw out that extra 360 and shrink it down to just 50. Everybody clear where the 50 came from? 410 minus 360. 410 is wrong, yeah. Not totally wrong, but partial credit wrong, yeah. In polar form, your numbers can't be bigger than 360. All right, now we're going to part 5. All right, so let's talk about this one more time. What's our rule for multiplication? How do we multiply these numbers? We multiply the R's and we add the angles. And if the angle ever turns out bigger than 360, just shrink it down. Now we're going to divide. All right, you're all smart kids. Does anybody have an idea how we might divide? Now remember how you multiplied. You multiplied these and added these. Oh, so we'll divide these, so we get 2 CIS 9. So how do we divide? We divide the R's and subtract the angles. All right, what do you think this one's going to be? Yep, so we can reduce it. It's 18/15 because we divide these, but that shrinks down to 6/5. I mean, regular arithmetic applies. If you can reduce the fraction, you should reduce it. And then what? Oh, wait. We divide these, but we subtract those, right? So we get negative 100. Well, shooty tooty, we got the same kind of problem we had before. Negative 100 is not allowed. So can you think of a positive way of expressing negative 100? 260. Harry, how did you get 260? Exactly. So let's look over here. What was wrong with 410? It was too big. So what did we do? We subtracted 360, right? Now, what's wrong with this guy? He's negative. So what do? Add 360 to him. When your angle doesn't work because it's either too big or too small in this case, you either add or subtract 360 till you make it acceptable. Okay? Sometimes we add 360, sometimes we subtract 360. It just depends on the angle that we're starting with. All right? We're going to do one more problem, and then we're going to be done for the day. All right, now I am sorry I did not leave you enough room to do that problem on there. I'm very, very sorry, so you may need another sheet of paper. Tomorrow we're going to do more of this, but for those few of you that are going to be absent, we'll just throw this up here now and walk you through it, okay? So here we go. This is the last thing we have to learn in this little unit. Okay? So here we go. You have a choice. One way of doing this problem would be to FOIL. 2 plus 2i, 2 plus 2i, 2 plus 2i, 2 plus 2i. That would be one way of doing it. That would take a long time. Plus, some of you are careless and you probably make arithmetic mistakes and you end up with the wrong answer. Just not a good idea. So I'm going to show you another strategy. It is called DeMoivre's theorem. Yep, DeMoivre. And it is really, really easy to use. But in order to use it, the first thing you have to do is what we did yesterday. You need to change this into polar form. Okay? So step 1, change into polar or trigonometric form. Now, what does that mean? I have to find what? R and theta. Now, what are these two 2's? That is x and that is y. So I'm going to draw a picture over 2 up 2. Right? Now, you better be able to tell me what that angle is right there without a calculator. That's a 45. So theta is 45. What's r? The square root of 8 or 2 root 2. So in polar form, which remember is this, my number is 2 root 2 CIS 45. Would everybody agree with that? My R is 2 root 2. My theta is 45. Now that's this. So we're going to raise that to the 4th power. And you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, Mrs. Ford, that still looks like it's going to be a lot of work. Because we just talked about how we multiply these numbers. This is a multiplication, right? 4 times. But when you multiply these numbers in polar form, you multiply these, right? And you add these. So I need to multiply 2 root 2 times itself 4 times. So I have 2 root 2 times 2 root 2 times 2 root 2 times 2 root 2. I'm going to take this to the 4th power. Multiply it times itself 4 times. What do I get when I do that? 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, that would be 16. And what do these two make? They make a 2, and these two make a 2. So all together, I've got 64. What? You have to make sure you have your 2 in parentheses. You're raising the whole thing to the 4th power. Now, what do we do with our angles again? We don't multiply the angles. What do we do with them? Think about, oh, I erased it. What did we do with our angles when we did a multiplication problem? We added them, didn't we? All right, so I got 4 of these. I got 4 of these. So 45, 45, 45, 45. What does that add up to? 180. There is the answer to the problem. Okay, we have one more step. What form is this? That's your polar form. Now it says answer in complex form, which is, complex form would be x plus yi. How do I get x and y again? We spent the beginning of the period doing that. How do we get x and y? 64 cosine 180. That should be negative 64. And 64 sine 180 should be 0. So I end up in complex form with negative 64 plus 0 I. I want to go through that one more time and make sure everybody understood where those numbers came from. We'll practice some more tomorrow. What was step 1? Find r and theta. So I had to find my r and my theta. Did that first. Then, how did I get from here to here? What did I do with that number? I times it by itself 4 times. And then, how did I get this number? I added 45 4 times, because when I multiply the r's and I add the angles. So I did this 4 times itself, and I added this up 4 times. And that's how I got this number. And then I changed it into complex form by doing r cosine theta and r sine theta. Okay? All right. Where's mine? All right.